Alright, response video to, he's called the Beardy Man in this video. Yeah, Beardy Man. Changed his name. So anyway, Nick, he's disappointed with me again, damn it. And I don't like that, to tell you the truth. It does bother me. That's my honest impression. It bothers me. And, it really does bother me when he's, when he's disappointed with me for reasons that I just don't think are legitimate. I don't think he's giving me enough credit. So I just think it's irritating that he can't take it one little tiny step further and understand the context and say, okay, that's why he's using those words instead of just saying that. So anyway, alright, so the first critique was the hostile a day exchange. And I think apparently he thought my last video was too hostile. Towards the end it got hostile just because I just find the argument from look how much we have progressed to be really lame. I mean, just as a practical matter, it's almost like the guy who argues that there's less violence in the world, and therefore life is so much better because people don't die when they're 21, mass murdering their neighbors. And it's just an irritating argument because it doesn't, I don't think, acknowledge the truth. That we're not winning this game. We're we're laughably losing in terms of the quality of the lives being lived, and what state of aliveness most people are in. In terms of, we've become zombies to the state and zombies to the mechanism. And yes, there's more zombies zombieing, but there's not too many people living, in my opinion. And it just seems quite obvious. It's yeah, I don't want to go into a whole bunch of that, but anyway. So I just find that an incredibly weak argument. All his arguments I found incredibly weak. Like the argument from, nature gives us reproductivity, therefore it's legitimate. Therefore, there's something fundamentally or default credible about the judgment of a DNA molecule 4 billion years ago that replicated. That somehow that has automatic standing as a good idea, and any opposition to it must be it has to be unfairly logical. It has to be super logical, like so obvious that even a blind man could see it or something. And I just think that standard is expecting too much. Especially in the context of having to overcome the only real argument, which is the argument against psychology, addiction, merely perceived attachments, not rational ones. But anyway, I've been through all this stuff, and I think I've been through it fairly and in a demeanor that's acceptable in most cases, and certainly in some cases. So I guess that's all I have to do. That's my responsibility. And the fact that people piss me off is, yes, that's my failure. But but I'm entitled to some failures. In my opinion, I'm not a machine. I'm not. I still am a human animal, and I still have to exist in the world. And the way I exist is to maintain something like some sense of integrity or dignity or whatever those words would mean in this context. Maybe they don't mean anything. Maybe as I progress a little further, I'll become more and more calculating, beyond any emotional reaction. Who knows? But anyway, I just don't find the critique weighted with anything meaningful. So it just is sort of an irritating critique, because I think I was rather generous in our conversation with him. He's very slow and very tedious, and I said, yes, it's still worth it. Alright? I watched his videos carefully, I took careful notes, and I was as careful not to act excessively in those conversations. And so, you know, whatever, the last paraphrase I made of the conversations, the last report, editorial comment I made was, I think it was a constructive conversation, and I'm willing to continue it. I'm waiting to continue it. So I don't think that's a, you know, I don't think I'm expecting too much from people to have enough, whatever, take the heat of the kitchen kind of crap. Really, come on. But anyway, whatever, fine, blah blah blah. Maybe if he doesn't show up again, I'll play his last video, and I'll do a word by word dissection and explain why I find this offensive and this irritating and this frustrating, because of the context of hours of conversation on those subjects too. I mean, how many times do you have to say something? You know, I mean, really, I shouldn't have to repeat myself. But people force me to do that because they don't deal with what I said. They deal with how they react to what I say. It's sort of what you're accusing me of, I suppose. Regardless, okay, moving on to the next subject, which is the death of derived energy. And a critique that I somehow acted emotionally or excessively, and I demonstrate how life must be valuable because I think dying in a bucket of water or a tub in a prison in Indonesia is just as good as any way to die, or something like that. Yeah, I still don't buy that argument. But I think I've explained how my reaction that you know, as a person, yeah, okay, I had an affection for derived energy, so you're automatically not liking them to be harmed. But there's no good day to die, right? I mean, there's going to be some day that people that we care about are going to be harmed, and they're going to die. And even when we're ready for it, we're not ready for it. So, I mean, that's just a fact of being human, again. So, yes, as a human being, I'll concede. I have I had an affection for Kurt, and I don't like the idea of him being pianoed in an exceptionally rude way, like he was just waving to, you know, hi, something, and then the piano fell on him at the wrong time. I just don't like the way it happened, so it bugs me. And I think I made that clear. It's more about how he died than the fact that he's dead. And then the dead part bothers me, just because it's like on Animal Farm, right? There was Snowball and there was Horse. I don't remember Horse's name, but Horse. And without either one of those two, there's no Animal Farm, right? There's no book, there's no story, there's no nothing. You need Horse and you need Snowball. So whether I'm Horse or I'm Snowball, it doesn't really matter. The point is that you couldn't even have tried to have the revolution, you know what I mean, if Horse is not there or Snowball's not there. And I'm not saying me and derived energy were exactly those characters and exactly integral to anything. They were not. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, it's like I lost Horse, or a horse broke his leg, or whatever, however the metaphor would be. But it's a loss to the cause. And so I have a self-interest which makes me a little lamenty. Just by nature, I'm going to be a little lamenty because, yeah, Horse is gone. And now all I got is like duck and rat and whatever the other sheep is. Sheeps. Yeah, my misery of me, I got sheeps. Whatever, but I don't got a horse no more. And so from that perspective, yeah, damn. You know, I got more work. Snowball's going to have to go to the gym and work out because, yeah, I ain't going to get the job done without Horse. Kind of thing. You can't appreciate that, fine. You want to critique me and say I'm just being a regular human and just doing a little mushy stuff, blah blah blah. I didn't really blah blah blah. No, bullshit. What all I'm saying is I had an affection for derived energy. If he told me in a PM that, hey Gary, I've really had enough, I'm figuring on having a little peaceful death, maybe you could Skype me, you know, for a little pre-death party, I'd be there. Yeah, I'd say goodbye, say, yeah, good effort, way to put up your, way to do your bit. You tried, and I understand you just had enough. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. This is just really harsh and brutal. Yeah, what? I'm not going to be lamenting. I'm really not. So I say, fuck you to this bullshit. I mean, this is just such a, not very useful critique. So anyway, so this part is another little annoying part, because I don't hear this art a lot, but you hear it enough where it's sort of annoying.
Oh, humanity. How do you think that is affecting the math of suffering?
Okay, so he's saying that when we lament, or when we defend lamenting, and we defend being upset about the bad state of life, the suffering in the world, then we're just adding to the suffering because we're giving the suffering power. The suffering is bad enough that the people do suffer, bad enough that the animals do suffer. It's even dumber for us to acknowledge the suffering, wallow in the suffering, get to know the suffering, smell the suffering, taste the suffering, get right in the trench with the suffering. Because now we're just adding more suffering to the suffering. We're just giving the suffering more power. And yeah, in a way, that's the way you fix it. I mean, I have made this argument 7 million times. I think it's psychologically now, absolutely necessary for people to create a psychological condition that makes this necessary. You will not fix the problem unless your psychology acknowledges the problem. Merely philosophically, abstractly saying, Houston, there's a problem. Now those words aren't going to mean anything if you don't care about the astronauts. If you don't understand how, it's millions and billions of dollars up there. You have to make it somehow mean something that there's a problem. And the only way it can mean something as a problem is that you have to personalize it. You do have to make it part of your psychology, or you just won't do the work. You just won't give a you won't. It has to go through it, unfortunately. I hate that it has to do that. I've made these metaphors to you, so I know you've heard this, and so maybe you'll say, okay, I get you. You have said that. But when I did the human ape lizard thing, I made it clear that the lizard has to, the human has to go through the ape. When he wants to get something done, the human has to basically bribe the ape with emotions into doing it. He has to somehow make it a personal thing. Make it like, I'll be embarrassed or I'll be something else if I don't do the right thing. If I just selfishly do what I want, if I just like smell the bacon cooking and say, just go have a little bacon. If I just don't acknowledge that as a negative psychologically and feel bad if I do it or have some kind of negative emotion tied to it, then that's right, I won't get off the couch, I won't do anything, I won't make videos, I won't do anything. I have to, the human has to make the ape cry for the ape to go do something about it.
Do you think it's lessening the amount of suffering in the world or not?
No pain, no gain. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, but yes, the fact is the human race is going to have a good cry before it's going to fix anything. It's going to have to acknowledge that it's broken, and acknowledging it's broken will not be pleasant or fun or enjoyable. I didn't enjoy when I was a kid realizing I was a human being and I was part of this stupid, disgusting, evil sack of shit crud called humanity. It was really, really depressing to find out that, gee, I really suck. And yeah, that's just the way it is. And so, yeah, you got to do some of that to get to the point where you can actually do something about the problem. Because you won't fix it unless you personalize it. That's just the way we work. The intelligence is riding a fucking moron. The donkey is moving the cart, and you have to manipulate the donkey to get to the right location.
Listen, if wondrous Mother Nature has got anything right, it is the way pain and suffering is allotted.
Oh God, incredible. Yeah, I'm sorry. You don't even know how it's allotted, okay? I mean, I could make the argument again. If insects feel, I'm pretty sure nature doesn't turn off their capacity to feel when they metamorph. You know, when they morphize from caterpillar to butterfly in the chrysalis. Nature has no incentive to turn it off because the organism can't run away. The organism can't not to go through the process. It can just torture it. And there's not a damn thing the organism can do about it, and it's not a damn, they can't rewrite the rules. So what if that's the truth? What if that is the truth? But again, we already know how much we have these extraordinarily excessive pains for simple a little tiny infection in your tooth or something, and your whole fucking head is on fire and throbbing and just incredible, obnoxious suffering and pain. Come on. If we didn't have these mitigating technologies, come on. The pain is incredibly obnoxious for no good purpose. Way beyond the necessary amount of pain to disable your abuse of the functionality. Very crude system, not elegant at all. So, come on. If nature's got anything right, come on.
It's allotted quite fairly.
Bullshit.
You've got hooper monkeys, wailing monkeys, whatever they are. They don't sit in the trees going, yo, life's cool. And flamingos are down sifting the mud with their beaks going, with all the suffering and pain of the howler monkeys upon the flamingos. The howler monkeys have got their pain and suffering. The flamingos have got their pain and suffering. The humans...
Yeah, but again, but as I was making the argument to Hofstadter, the fact is that nature hides most of it, right? Because most of the pain and suffering, at least in that, by the crude standards, you're just not going to last that long. As soon as your functionality is marginalized a little bit, you're going to be picked off by nature's standards. You can't have 2 marginal a day as a prey animal and expect to see another day. So whatever suffering there's going to be, it won't be as protracted. But again, it's going to be intense and severe and nasty and horrid. But yeah, you're not going to be like some, Dickens character limping on your infected knee for 40 years.
have got their pain and suffering. 7 billion humans, and it's arranged that the pain and suffering is spread among those 7 billion people. Taking more upon yourself only throws the accounting off.
Well, again, it's not that I'm throwing it upon myself in some sort of mechanism other than enough to keep myself conscious of it, that I can smell it, so I don't get lost playing soccer or football or get caught up in the game. You have to keep it in mind. You have to be mindful of it, or you won't do anything about it. Again, you'll just be seduced by the carrots. If the whip, if the brain isn't whipping you a little bit, you're just going to get obsessed with, there's food on the side of the road. I'll go there to the side of the road and get me some food. There's ego gratifications. I'm going to go get me some of that. Unless there's the whip saying, no, this agenda isn't about you and your gratification. It's about the fact that we don't want to travel this road again, you dumbass.
It doesn't actually make things better?
Well, that will be written on the tombstone somewhere, right? So it'll either be says on my tombstone, 500 years from now, let's say the metaphorical book of my existence will either say, he didn't make anything any better, he just totally failed. Or it'll say, he did a pretty good job of doing his part to tear down the bullshit and get us off this stupid roller coaster. So good on him. So it'll either say good on him or it'll say bad on him. But I don't think you've made an argument, okay, sorry, that somehow I'm going to get the good on him written on my tombstone by telling people, look, there's an urgent problem, but don't worry about it, don't think about it, and of course, don't do anything about it.
If you can't understand that, go to two people, Adam and Eve, or the last two people in the world, Adamski and Eveski. Adamski and Eveska. If Adam is suffering over Eveska's vaginal warts, that is, what's that doing to the math of suffering in the world?
Well, again, I'm not sitting there. If you can explain to me that most people are capable of being energized to do something without emotional passion, if you're going to argue that that's possible, that you can get them to purely like derived energy, to be intellectual about it, well then fine, all I have to use is logic. Great, fantastic. I mean, generally speaking, I don't use graphic images. I could have graphic images in every one of my videos to drive home the point that this is what you're imposing. Whether you want to say it or not, this is the game. When you keep putting your nickels in the vending machine, all the crap that comes out of the vending machine is your fault. Not just the candy bars, but the shit bars and the fuck bars and the foo bars. All of those bars come out of this vending machine. And so as soon as you put money in there and keep the vending machine running by putting your money in there, this is all your fault. This is all your fault. I mean, I could do that, but I'm trying to make a better argument than that. I'm trying not to use, negative emotionalism. But the truth is that I know that I wouldn't be who I am without negative emotionalism. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that my intellect knows how to manipulate my emotional ape, I don't think I would do this every day.
Anakantavad and those, what do you call them, the nihilist cunts, they are the ones that lower the math of suffering down by not taking upon themselves other people's suffering.
Right. Well, this is Randian philosophy, and I hope you can understand why I don't buy into it at all. I don't think in the long term, with the tombstone writing is going to be good at all on their life story, because all they did was, they call that enablers, right? In alcoholism and other things, they're just enablers. Okay, they're just trying to make everybody into a dumb animal, and yeah, the dumb animal will, in some ways, be able to live freer of the burdens of responsibility. I mean, responsibility is no fun, so of course it's easier for your life if you just don't hear the slaves yelling. Then yeah, slavery's okay. But let's not say that the slaves don't count, and that over time that suffering adds up to something. So I'm just saying, enabling a bunch of people who are not hearing the pigs cry, sorry, I don't think that has any chance of winning in the end. That is going to get failure written on your tombstone faster than anything else.
Yeah. Suffering is about one of the only things that is about fair in life. It's the suffering of the people.
Well, whatever. You're just, yeah, I don't think you get the word fair at all then. It's not apportioned by deserve. Again, I would not throw any coins into, I would invest nothing in it. Zero. So I should get none of it. I would sign no contract engaging me for this risk of suffering for the fun of winning the big game at the football theater. No, I wouldn't sign any of these contracts. So don't talk to me about your fairness bullshit. And don't tell me that parents are fairly burdened with the weight, gravity of the risk they're taking with their child's welfare. Don't tell me there's something fair about that. No. Sorry. That's just too silly.
Is allotted to the people. It doesn't help that you then take more upon yourself and then make videos telling people that they should take more upon themselves, because taking more upon yourself does not take away from the person.
Well, but it sure as hell does stop you from having babies. I mean, recognizing it does make you aggressive. I was aggressively anti-procreation. I wasn't just a little bit. I just wasn't like, oh, I don't want to have an accident. No, I was like putting up every barrier possible to prevent one. I was conscious of it. I did what I had to do to make sure it didn't happen. You have to be motivated, and you're not going to be motivated unless you're goddamn afraid, or you're goddamn some kind of goddamnness. There has to be some goddamnness running in you, or you will just be a lazy asshole and not do the right thing. Fuck, this isn't complicated.
It's just adding to it.
No, it isn't. It's the only road to fixing it is having it up your ass. You have to shove the broken thing up your ass, or you're not going to do anything to fix it.
If you want to act in the way that you say that you so often do, with logic and Spock-like whatever it is, well, get a bit of thinking done and throw this emotion stuff away. This is all presuming that you have.
Yeah, whatever. Again, who are we talking to? Who's the human race that we have to motivate? I mean, like I said, I'd love, okay, I would be really, okay, I've already conceded the fact that I aspire to Spockian logic. I don't necessarily exercise Spockian discipline. But either does Spock in the new movies, to tell you the truth. He's, 12-year-old girl. But anyway, that's not really the point. If you could give me if I had some way of being convinced that would work on the human race, that you can do that with them, that they're more susceptible to logic than even I am, then yeah, I don't mind getting in that competition, and I don't mind being a bit of a failure and a loser at it, and I don't even mind being really ridiculed for it, if you can demonstrate that more than 14 people on Earth would be immutable to it. I mean, get real. How many people people don't, even if Spock speaks English, people can't understand Spock. They don't understand what he just said, because they're idiots. And so you have to start from where the base is, and you can't re-educate them to have any love for, logical paradoxes and all that kind of stuff, conundrums of, rational interpretation. And so, like, you could make the argument, the Martians aren't missing the Martians. Now, Spock would understand that, but the idiots aren't going to understand that.
The free will to do these things, because you're not affecting the math of suffering in any positive fashion.
Well, says you. Again, in the short term, I will admit, I might not look like a good man. Okay, there might be a bloody battlefield, and I got the club, and there's blood and brain matter and all kinds of shit on my club, and I might look like a motherfucker in the short term. But that's not what the game I'm playing. I'm playing one game. Maximize my efficiency. And I'm not saying every video I make is calculated with a great deal of forethought to figure out what's the exact right approach to take with this individual psychology. I mean, every one of you people is an individual little psychology, and I have to press the buttons just the right way, and I got to avoid the certain skanky cunt language and blah 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 blah. And no, I don't do that, because yeah, I only have so many hours in a day. Yeah, and I only have so much time to devote to this dismal and unpleasant job. And yeah, I want to talk about magnets and physics and blah 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 blah. That's where my brain really wants to go somewhere else. It really wants to, and pretend that's somehow important. It wants to do that, but it knows it's not. I don't think you're being very fair, but that's just my impression. Okay, that was all. So he's mad at me again. Poop. Yeah, it's just so damn difficult. It really is. I mean, there's this fine line, right? This is the kind of the joke, right? Because you almost don't know how to emotionally react to the derived energy thing. Because I don't want to seem cold and indifferent. Because part of me is sad and lamenting. And the other part of me is, yeah, really like, so, yeah, he was going to die anyway. His life wasn't going anywhere. It was just bullshit, and he was just wrangling through it. And then there's the recognition of his utility. He happened to be one of the few human beings who was actually useful. He was fucking a productive human being because he was eliminating extra suffering. He might have been convincing people to not have kids, which is an excellent thing. He prevented a whole horrible existences, generations of them that would have been produced and been the byproduct. So yeah, there was value in his existence. And I can lament the value of his existence. But anyway, I'm just saying that I just can't win. There's no way to win in this circumstance, right? Because if I demonstrate some sort of human sensitivity, then I've emotionalized it, and therefore I've committed a crime against my philosophy. And if I appear cold and indifferent, then the people who need Gary to be a human being, well, all of a sudden Gary has just shown evidence again that he's an uncaring, brutish, horrible person who doesn't care about anything. He's just selfish and I'll just get that critique. So there's no way to win here. I've tried to be as honest and as plain and straight about it as I can be, but I'm not gonna. I knew I was gonna lose, and I lost. Okay, fine. I've now been critiqued by both sides. Thank you very much. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, this is so whatever. Whatever. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't think I can change much here. I mean, I've had a 6-year agenda to try not to emotionally react, but frankly, it doesn't seem like I can do that. I'm just not, I still can't, I'm still, doing nicotine juice, right? There's certain things I'm just not really good at changing. And I don't like change. And it's hard. And, I think I have evolved through the 6-year process, and maybe people don't think I've evolved constructively. I don't know. It isn't my nature to be combative, but I am coming from a very defensive position. So I've spent my whole life not being anywhere close to the winner circle. and so I have the loser's mentality. I'm very defensive because it's the only way I can keep myself going. Is to defend the minimums, the minimum sense of purpose and function I have. And so, yeah, you start treading on that, I'm going to defend it. But I don't want to make excuses. I mean, I can do better maybe. Okay, I'll try to do better. I don't know. I don't think it really helped. But it's okay, whatever. Another critique, another bit of negative for me to feed on, right? I mean, as soon as somebody complains about your function, you're going to try to do better, right? If somebody was like laughing at the Jedis or something, and then the Jedis would say, "Oh shit, we got to get better uniforms, or we need longer lightsabers, or we're not quite kick-ass enough because they're critiquing us." So yeah, you're automatically going to want to improve beyond criticability. So yeah, I guess it's good for that much anyway. I suppose. But you're imposing suffering on me. Yeah, I could turn that one around, but you don't mind because you don't have the same philosophy. Yeah, you're telling me how to drive the ship in to an island you never go to. It's funny. Anyway, enough of a video. HD. I had to test this camera, so what the hell. An HD video for a change.